What's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of Spill the Teaquila here on the Outlaw Nation channel. I shouldn't even do I should be like Spill the Tequila, but I'm all here throwing salt because it's gonna get
salt bay it all day, baby. I'm gonna throw the tequila down my throat. You throw the salt. There we go.
And then squeeze that lime. Squeeze a little bit of lime up in
there. That Mexico trip changed me because my rule of thumb was if a body shot wasn't involved, don't even bring the tequila around me.
What? A body shot?
Oh yeah.
Still doing that? Okay, shout out. Where do you put the body shot on your body when you do, or do you do it off someone else's body? How do you
do it off somebody else's body, not off myself.
You put it in the belly button, or where do you?
You can do it. You can do it off the belly button. I've done it where you'll put like a salt trail up, and then they have the shot glass in their mouth. You can also put the lime in the mouth.
Yeah.
And then same thing. You go salt yourself out of the belly button, lime out of the either way. If it's since I'm practically a married man at this point, it is definitely the shot is in the mouth type thing because I don't need to be licking nobody's belly button. And if I'm out here in these streets, like taking a lime out of another girl's mouth, do you understand how quickly I would get punched in the face?
Yeah.
So
those avenidas, you're out there in the calles. You can't be messing around with that shit in Mexico, man. Get in trouble.
But it was on tap and flowing in Mexico. So I was like,
sure.
I guess I just gotta drink this tequila then.
I don't even know what the drinking age is in Mexico. Like, I don't know if it's
probably when you feel like you're ready. If it's probably just because I have found, typically speaking, that most Mexicans that I've met just tend to have their life a little more together.
Oh yeah,
it might be like, hey man, you put in a double today. Go have this tequila. But I'm 8. I get it, bro. You've been hustling. These 8-year-olds in California, they go and like play soccer because their mama makes them, and then they want to pick dandelions instead. Like it's not, you know what I mean? Like it's just not.
It's a tough.
We are built much softer up here.
Yeah, the drinking age legally is 18 in Mexico, so that's younger than ours, right? Because we're 21. So
yeah,
interesting.
I still stand by the fact that if you're old enough to die for this country, you should be more than old enough to not just vote, but to have a goddamn beer.
That's true. That's true.
Just I get the whole prefrontal cortex at 25.
Right.
If you want to be stricter until 25 and be like, if you get caught with a DUI, it maybe carries a little more weight or something. Yeah. Or like any of the intoxicated laws, if you're caught between this age doing it, you want to hold someone a little bit more accountable. Okay. But otherwise, like, how am I going to lose a limb, but I can't have a beer?
Yeah, it's true. That's a fair point. John Ashford says, Outlaw, you were in the service and never done a body shop? For shame, LOL. It's not that. I was even in a fraternity for a couple of years. It's just been a very, very long time since I've thought about doing a body shot. So I don't know what the new mechanics are. The kids are changing everything every generation. So
dude, they're trying to change the Cupid shuffle. I'm like, it has instructions in the song. I don't need you to try and do something else.
I just found out that raw dogging has a completely different connotation nowadays than when I was growing up. Because when I was growing up, raw dogging is having sex without a condom, sometimes in the butt. The other raw dogging now, I think if you say it that way.
That little adage at the end just
give me in trouble. But raw dogging now is like so tame. It's like if you got on a flight and didn't look at your phone once. It's like what?
Yeah, well, it's not. Well, it's not just that. It is apparently no entertainment whatsoever. It is pretty much staring directly at your screen. The only thing you're like kind of allowed to look at is like the flight pattern shit.
Yeah, right.
It's really stupid because now that we're in the prank era, that seems like the appropriate thing to be like, I'm just gonna fly across from California to New York. I don't watch a single thing. You're a weirdo. But I like, that's not funny. That's just weird.
It's like raw dogging is somehow not being distracted by everything. So if you're poor and you can't afford these shits, you're like raw dogging every day. You're basically a raw dogger. You're a pro raw dogger because you can't afford this shit to distract you.
I can I say this? I actually know why all these men apparently like Gen Z and below are so damn lonely. It's because y'all are weird, bro. Like,
no doubt.
You think it's funny to raw dog a flight. Bro, I just want to take a nap or like watch Creed 3. Like I don't what? That's not fun. That's fun to you.
I was watching some show last night and they said raw dog in it. And I was like, what the fuck? And I looked it up and I was like, this is not what. And then they said, no, this is what the term means.
They also don't have sex. Like that article came out. That makes sense that raw dogging would not mean having sex without a condom. It'd be like having a flight with no protection.
So what is what is having sex with a condom called now? Does that happen?
A myth, because they don't have sex.
That should be a segment on our show. How do we save men this week? How do we save young men this week? How do we get them laid this week?
That's
or
fair.
At least get them to understand, you know,
that's
fair. Man, I had a lot of sex growing up from like 15 on. It wasn't an issue. So to me, this is fascinating. And not anyway, I'm not bragging or anything. I'm just saying, like, it was just kind of standard.
I also did.
So the new generation though is like a boy like this with sex. You know, I don't know. It's weird.
There's like a combo of things, man. I think the main part of it is, you know, I love how we always have like a just kind of shoot the shit topic to start it off, bro. Right. I think part of it is also the fact that you got to remember with a lot of Gen Z and below, because of the pandemic and how that went, there was like a key year of socialization that didn't happen, if not a year and a half. And you throw in the fact that a lot of the Gen Z, not a lot, I mean, it would only been a year to 2 years worth of people, but those would have been formative college years where you would have been on a campus, like learning and flirting and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
And instead you were stuck at home a little bit longer.
Right.
So you put all of that together. So the bars are down, both because of the pandemic and people, again, not learning that, but they also, there was a study that came out with Gen Z because they were home and they got to see their parents and their older siblings and everything else be depressed during the pandemic and be like, fuck this, I'm just going to get drunk.
Right.
They all have kind of rebelled against that lifestyle because they're like, I don't like what that did to the people that are my elders. Like, it looks not fun. It looks dangerous. It looks bad for you, like whatever. Right. So they said, fuck that. I'm out on that shit. So I worry about them only in the sense that, like, they tend to be chronically online. I know I'm online for a living and so are you. So who are we to say? But they tend to be chronically online. They have admitted that they have trouble making friends, let alone dating, let alone having sex.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the things they do for fun. I'm not saying that drinking alcohol is better.
Yeah.
Like, it's not. If anything, raw dogging a plane is probably significantly safer.
Yes,
but like that's their form of fun. How do you relate to another human to be a friend, to be like, bro, you will not believe this 15-hour flight where I didn't flinch. That sounds cool. I call me old if you want, but I genuinely am worried.
Yeah. I mean, aren't you raw dogging it when you're around a woman that you're really attracted to, but you don't ask her out? Like, that used to be the thing you were ashamed about. Now it's like, no, dog, you did it. No, dog.
I don't know if it applies in that way. I don't know if raw dogging applies in that way, but like that you know, I just, that used to be instead of the whatever type stuff getting on form, it would be we would go to the mall and just sit around and do nothing, and then you would try and holler at some girls that were with their, like, they were their friends, you were your friends, you tried to shoot your shot, like your one homie didn't get the number, you made fun of him the whole rest of the day. But that teaches you how to have a little bit of game. It teaches you to, like, grow some tough skin. Like, there's obviously situations where now you can get into bullying and talk about all that, fine, but I think just there are things you need to learn by crashing and burning socially. Help make you a full human.
Yeah, we might have overcorrected, Winston. And then I get it, because like I was bullied in school. I get it. The bullying was horrific. What I experienced until I was 15 or 16. Like I hated it, right? But like when I made the turn, I was able to kind of, you know, get back and put my shit together and join the military, do all these kinds of. But like, so I understand that generation and the toxic masculinity. I totally understand and respect that. But by the same token, maybe we are like gone too soft on the other side, where all these things that are seen as like, they're too, I'm triggered, I'm offended, I can't. And it's like, come on, dog, you got to get hurt a little bit. This is life, you know.
The way that I had to legitimately, like, senior year of high, because I went to an all-boys school until I transferred to high school, and then I went to the rival school, which was co-ed, and to that point had very little game. I found myself in a lot of situations where the girls that I would end up with tended to be into me, and I would kind of just like I'd be like, okay, cool, And it's not that I had anything against them, but like the girl I was crushing on, I didn't have the skills to whatever. Like I remember this one time we were at a party and it was senior year of high school. And I was just like, yeah, girl, so what's your GPA? And I heard my boys going, are you fucking kidding? Like losing it in the background. And they to this day still roast me about that, which is then funny because the love of my life graduated magna cum laude from fucking Harvard. So that might have been a line that worked on her. Like it just depends. But like that was one of those things I was like, yeah, okay, maybe let's not do that going forward. And it just took the trial and error of being out there and succeeding and failing and figuring all that out, you know?
Yeah, you know what? If you ever became a rapper, and I know you did some of that, you dabbled in it back in school. I think you said in the last show. GPA is a great name for a rapper. Like if you were to be GPA,
if he is, awesome. He has to have a fantastic vocabulary.
Yes.
So it's got to be very
super educated.
Got to be very MF Doom.
Yes.
Very like Childish Gambino, Lupe Fiasco. Even Eminem actually has a very sophisticated vocabulary, but you have to be dropping mad bombs with your vocabulary. If you're going to be
even a little Kendrick
too. That's a great one. That's a great one. The funny thing is, Kendrick definitely is in that conversation. But when I think of people that have the craziest vocabularies in hip hop, just because of the lane that he tends to be in, I don't always jump there. But he absolutely is a part of that, group too.
Yeah, everyone focuses on A minor, but that song is that rap. Those bars are intelligently written and spoken. You know.
I think because the funny thing is his vocabulary is up there, but I think more just about the way he weaves. More than I think about his vocabulary. That's the only reason why I don't immediately jump there. But you're exactly right. You were exactly right.
I like this. J&B taking notes. Hey, girl, what's your GPA? There, you got it. It'll work.
Hey, man, look, if you're trying to get the mathlete, that shit'll work. Ooh,
yeah, it's true.
I'm a 4.5. Girl, I didn't even know you could go that high. That's incredible. You want to tutor me? Like, hey, I'll raw dog with you on a plane. I'm not. Hey, right next to you. I'm safe. Raw dog in a plane is what you do in the season finale of the rehearsal. That's what that is. Girl.
Oh, Jesus. I know. My game, I had no game either. It was more a matter of like I could sense if someone was attracted to me. So I didn't even ask them out. I would just kiss them first, like in the middle of the high school hallway or by the locker, and then I'd ask them out. Yeah, it was really weird like that. It was more a matter of let me make sure you're interested by doing this move, and then we'll go out on dates. Rarely failed. Doesn't mean the relationships didn't work out. They didn't work out, obviously, but like, yeah, that's how I did. Because I had no game. I had to learn my game much later in life. But when I was in high school, it was like, oh, I could sense she's into me. I'm gonna go in for the kiss and then see if she's into it, and then you go. Let's go out on dates. So yeah, I was really weird like that, you know. So yeah,
you have to learn. You have to learn. That move isn't flying nowadays, right?
I know, Stevie. Trust me, it's a different time.
Hey man, hey man. I think the biggest thing that has to happen, because it's funny. I actually have a friend who late in life came out, and she's really struggling right now because the rules get a little bit different, obviously, for queer women versus because even like queer men, like being men, you probably have already been set on the path of you got to be the aggressor, you got to pursue whatever. Right. But then if you're talking about where we have treated a gender to constantly be the ones that are pursued, it can be harder for women later in life that figure that out. I've found because they're just like, that's not a skill set I've developed. Trying to do that gets hard is what my friend has been telling me. And like, I keep telling that's why I'm like, look, I get it. And I think that there's obviously a women's perspective you want, but to that point, you gotta talk to your straight guy friends. Maybe leave the crash shit out because we're ridiculous. But like we have literally had to learn how to hit on people because that is what we were told we have to do. Right. Versus if you're talking to your girlfriends, most of them are being pursued. Yeah. So like they're not necessarily going to have the right advice of how you go, hey, this is how you kind of, whatever, and start whatever conversation. And like, I just want to, like, girl, can I take you out? Like what, what I mean? Like That's the only thing that I've been telling her, and that's funny. She either talks to her older lesbian friends who like obviously have been around the block now, so they understand, or she talks to us, and that seems to be helping a little bit.
Oh, wow. There you go. Yeah. And I imagine it's much harder when you come out as a woman versus coming out as a man, because I know. Well, I don't know. I don't know how hard it might be. I guess with your parent, but like a lot of gay guys I know who are friends of mine are constantly bragging about being on Grindr and how many guys they're sleeping with. I don't know. I don't hardly not. No, I don't think I've ever had experience with any of my female friends who are lesbian or talking about how much action they're getting. Like it doesn't. I've not seen it that way. So I think
I literally as someone that like spends a lot of time with my queer friends and whatnot because of dodgeball and everything else like that. That one of the things that the stereotype is that gay men you sneeze and you've found somebody to go hook up with versus like for queer women. It's that by the end of date one, they've rented a U-Haul and they're ready to move in together. Like those are the two stereotypes. Is that all gay men are just floozies and just want to go and hook up with as many people as they can, and all lesbians are ready to immediately get married just because you guys have the same type of dog. Like it's those are the two stereotypes. Obviously, people are people. Things are going to be different across the board. If you look at straight relationships, there are some dudes that are like, I just want a relationship, and there's some women like, I just want to smash. Right. So like. But the generalization comes from how typically we see people move.
Right, exactly. But we're not here to talk about
any of that stuff, but we spent a solid 20 minutes on it. I love it, man.
But we're going to get into some entertainment news. I see already 5 of you have sent in some super chats. Thank you so much. The Streamlabs super chats are open. You see the Streamlabs above Winston's head there, but you can send in your super chats as well throughout the chat. We'll answer them a little bit later on in the show. But thanks for letting us just kind of organically have an opening bit of banter here, because we are moving into some tough subjects, Winston. One thing that should be exciting, but then some of the reactions maybe not so much, has been the announcement here of the new Harry Potter cast. These are the 3 kids that will be taking over and becoming Hermione Granger, Harry Potter, and Ron Weasley in the new Harry Potter series that is coming to the HBO airwaves, led by showrunner Francesca Gardner, who worked on Succession. The names here: Dominic McLaughlin is the guy who will play Harry Potter there in the middle. Arabella Stanton is playing Hermione Granger. Alistair Stout is Ron Weasley. More than 30,000 actors auditioned for the lead roles in this, Winston. That's pretty amazing. 30,000.
Good for you, kids.
Yeah, but Dominic, who's playing Harry Potter, is in an upcoming comedy called Grow with Nick Frost. And then Arabella Stanton has starred as Matilda in Matilda the Musical in London's West End, and has quite a lot of experience already as a young actress. I think she was in Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat or one of these other musicals. So she has a lot of experience. Starlight Express. She was in that one, Starlight Express, as the narrator Control. So she has a lot of experience coming into this. But of course, Winston, there were some reactions, but let's get your thoughts first before we get to those, because this is Spill the Teaquila. We don't shy away from the hard subject. So what are your thoughts on these 3? How do you think they look? And what are your thoughts on the casting?
I mean, so far, just looking at them, they look great. I think the only thing that throws me off is this kid, Dominic, I guess is his name.
Yeah.
I know it's just a random picture they got of the 3 of them. I would have loved to just see him in glasses, because it's throwing me off a little bit.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. Even if it had just been a prop, that would have been my only immediate feedback. I was like, he's got the innocence. I like that.
Right.
What does he look like in the glasses? Because I'm a very visual person. But otherwise, I mean, they sound like they have, this is like a real breakout moment for these kids, but they still have a little bit of experience, which is great. What I am worried about, because there's already been people trying to, oh, you make a Hermione black or Latina or whatever she is. I don't like la la la. I mean, the first thing about that is the fact that when you look at the description of Hermione in the books, skin color is never brought up. It just says she has brown hair and brown eyes.
Right.
And so it doesn't matter one way or the other. That still seems to fit. So one, grow up. And 2, of all of the castings to potentially do all of this one way or the other, and it's kind of why I actually like the casting of Snape as well. Let's say that this young lady is, because nobody actually knows what her ethnicity is. Right. But let's say, for example, that she is Latina, or she's Greek, or she's black, whatever, right? her character is known by a derogatory term known as mudblood for being a muggle, right?
Yeah, a muggle.
I can't think of anybody that would feel more other to a community and considered a minority part of the race than potentially a minority to be like people out here throwing slurs at your ass.
Yeah.
So like, I actually think that if it was a person of color playing the role, I don't hate that. It's kind of the same way where I don't mind Snape. Snape was getting bullied all the time by Harry's daddy and then ended up quote unquote being evil, not really evil. But you know what I'm saying? Like it was a scenario where he's constantly getting put down upon. So again, another instance of I actually like the idea of a black dude kind of into the hot white chick, and everybody's like, you can't even look at her, you some bitch, you half-blood little mother. Like there's something about that I think only adds that element one way or the other. In the same way that like it works with Elphaba being played by a black woman, because again, othered by everybody else. So instead of black skin, you have green skin, because that's the world. We're in the world of witches and the Wizard of Oz and blah blah blah. So the one thing I hope that their parents, their team are keeping a very close eye on them, because I remember the stuff that Emma Watson went through before the true age of social media, of all of the sexualization, paparazzi waiting outside when she turned 18. How she's actually one of the, to this day, I saw some report that she's one of the top celebrities that are hit with deep fake and AI porn. Oh yeah. I really hope that these kids, especially Ariabella, but everybody, I hope that they have people protecting them, because even if this is a huge success, I don't ever want to see another Jake Lloyd type situation with like the Phantom Menace, where these poor kids, their lives unravel when this should be a glorious celebration for them.
It's an excellent point. Excellent points you make here, Winston, for sure. And like I put some of these up because sometimes people will push back and say, oh, it's not as bad as you think. Well, here are some of the comments that are really just kind of sent me for a loop today. They turned poor Hermione into an actual mudblood.
See, you see what I'm saying? That's insane.
It's a horrific thing to say. And then this guy, John De La Rosa, who's John of the Rice, he said, isn't Hermione supposed to be white? Why are you having an issue with it as a Latino? But of course, he's got to play to whatever MAGA base follows him. Why is she brown? Then this Colonel Otaku, what the West doesn't understand is that when they blackwash a white character, that is not what happened here. They actually make it less appealing to Japanese taste. We liked it when Hermione Granger was. I mean, the audacity to think you speak for all Japanese people was hilarious on so many levels. And then AI music, since when was Hermione Mexican? So this is the kind of crap that you're going to see. And both discussing film and Screen Rant, I don't see a Variety. I don't think Variety did, and I called them out. They've both turned off their comment sections on this, and they still put up the post putting Emma Watson up against Arabella Stanton. And to me is like, you're courting the racist responses. I just put up the three of them and let it be at that. But no, they want to low-key play to get this engagement. And sure enough, people are jumping at the bait and they're leaving these horrific comments. So much so that Discussing Film and Screen Rant, and I didn't see if any of the others did, had to turn off their comment section. And that's sadly the world we're living in. And I wish these sites would understand the responsibility they carry with their posts that cause and bring out these kinds of horrible behaviors in people by giving them the platform to leave comments like that. And you never know what a young actress might stumble onto social media and read this stuff and how it can affect her. You know, normal people can't handle 5-10 comments that are negative about them. Imagine a young girl like this. And so it's just upsetting on so many levels. And if we open I hope we do not open the door to the sexualization of her, because then that's just going to be like, get the fuck out of here.
It's unfortunately going to happen regardless, because like you look at any young actress, like they did it, they've done it forever. Yeah. Since like I'm sure it happened before the internet, but like think about the Olsen twins. Think about what they did to Lindsay Lohan. 100%. All that kind of stuff. Like I guarantee, unfortunately, it will happen. What I really hope, just above all else, like I said, is that the right people are surrounding these kids and shielding them from the BS. And that sucks, because like I think about, don't get me wrong, there are certain levels to call out whatever said nepotism and everything else.
Oh, sure.
But I think about like poor Bronny. On the one hand, it's like, I get it. The reason that his career accelerated this much, and we'll see in the long run if it truly is the only reason he's in the NBA is because of his dad. But you didn't give this kid a chance to just like go on his own, especially because he never was out here trying to pretend. He was like, yeah, my dad is the most famous basketball player in the world, arguably
Right.
the best or the second best, whatever you want to say. But I'm my own man, and I'm going to prove it. Give him the chance to prove it versus just be like, you only here because your daddy. Like, literally never give the kid a chance.
Yeah.
And he got better over the year. Whether or not he deserved, like, he'll be a regular starter or will stay in the league is a different conversation. I think he went too soon, and that part I will hang on LeBron.
Yeah, not understanding it a little bit more what the reaction was going to be. Yeah, I don't disagree with you there. But yeah, this is unfortunately people just don't have a filter anymore, and they feel even more encouraged because of the Trump administration, and like everyone's coming out being racist and feel like, yeah, I can finally let my racist flag fly. We just had like 100 people marching with a patriot front or whatever that nonsense was over the weekend, covering up their faces, of course, because they're cowards. But they were there marching and all doing all kinds of. People are feeling more emboldened. And I think that's going to cause a reaction. Like I just saw a video today from some guy wearing a Hitler SS shirt to a punk rock outdoor concert, and all these people attacked him and shoved him down and pushed him away. So you're seeing there's going to be a reaction to this stuff. And so the more ugly people are in this reaction to it, I think they need to be called out and highlighted and shown, because this is horrific. It's a young girl who's having a dream come true in the next step in her career. And I would argue, Winston, she is much more qualified acting-wise than anybody who's played any of these three roles in as children, coming in with the experience she's had on stage already leading musicals, for God's sake.
Absolutely. So, that's absolutely huge. And I guarantee you it's part of the reason why of the third, like, because the number I guess I saw was like 32,000 or something, or somewhere around that range.
Yes, 32,000 kids that auditioned. Yes.
There's a reason she stood out, because she already has experience. And I guarantee you that was in the conversation. There's a possibility that maybe somebody was acting slightly better, but they were like, she's a little greener. Whereas if that other girl maybe was a 10 and this girl was a 9.9, it was like, but she's already done all of this. So we know her parents or whoever's in charge of her is handling their business. She knows how to handle herself professionally. So there's also that, because like I know that's even when we look at draft stuff, that has a lot to do with like how they look at athletes, as they go, ooh, yeah, maybe they don't show quite as talented of an arm as this other person, but they played at Bama. Yeah. So like they've actually played against heavy hitters versus this person, was in one of the conferences that didn't play it. Like maybe they were in the Ivy League. You know what I mean? And so like that's why you only see the Ryan Fitzpatrick out of all of the quarterbacks and nobody else, because it's like, you played a lot of like Ivy League teams. I don't know, bro.
Exactly. Oh man, that's for sure. And by the way, this is your official reminder that we are 94 days away from the new NFL season. So just letting you know, put it on your calendar. 94 days. So I'm excited myself personally. So we'll see what happens with them. I agree with Winston. Everything Winston said. Like, I hope they've got the right teams in place to protect these kids, limit their social media, block certain words from being seen. And I hope these kids are able to handle this. But the thing is, these new kids nowadays, Winston, they're coming up stronger, man. We talked about some of them, with the interacting with in terms of dating situations, but like kids nowadays are much more seasoned and schooled in the world of social media than we were going to be a part of it. So I hope that bodes well for them going forward, and we will see. I hope so. But let's move on to this other story. I want to get your thoughts on this, man. How about this? This is the Christopher McQuarrie section of the show, because Christopher McQuarrie, was having a conversation with a friend of us, Schmodown here, Josh Horowitz, former competitor there with his Happy, Sad, Confused podcast, and he was talking about his pitch for Man of Steel. He had previously opened up at it during a new interview, though. He highlighted the challenges that would come with bringing in another Justice League member, and how the two shared similarities and differences, saying these two characters had amazing similarities, which also allowed for amazing conflict and an amazing universe. And when he was asked about what motivated him to do a pitch for Man of Steel, he said, "I'll never tell, but boy, it was effing good. Green Lantern was what had come to me. Green Lantern is a tough one. The power is very challenging, and I cracked it, and it was fun. And watching him learn how to use that power and giving that power a flaw, so that it was not pure. And the whole concept of Green Lantern is the ring that has to be recharged. That's not a bug. That's a feature." Talking about Green Lantern, but Man of Steel, he said the first 5 minutes, he explained it. comparing it to Pixar's Up. He said, I will tell you the first 5 minutes of my Superman movie, a sequence with no dialogue that covered the characters. The first 5 minutes of the movie were a setup after you knew exactly what made Superman tick and exactly what Superman was afraid of and why Superman made the choices that he made. It would have been epic. And in 5 minutes, the scale of the movie would have been absolutely extraordinary. So, we've just seen him rule with Mission Impossible and the biggest opening weekend for the series in this past film that was released. So what are your thoughts when you hear this? It wasn't a lot, but it still was an interesting pitch here for Man of Steel 2 if you'd been allowed to direct it.
I mean, that's the thing. I like Man of Steel.
Yes.
But I'm not a huge I've admitted I'm not a huge Superman fan. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing is I prefer a Superman that feels like is actually inspiring hope or people trying to be more to just be positive forces in the world versus this idea that the Superman we got ultimately in the DCEU felt more of like worshiping a god. And it's not to say that he's not one, but that has always been the thing about it that makes him, to me, more interesting to watch. Is like, yeah, he's got godlike powers, but he genuinely feels like a good dude that you could go kick it with versus I can't be around you. You know what I'm saying? It's like someone was asking Coy and I on Capes and Cows about Nathan Fillion, because someone was like, hey, please don't ruin my childhood that I've heard maybe Nathan Fillion is kind of a dick. And me and him immediately was like, that is the complete polar opposite. For somebody as famous as he is one of the nicest people. Coy recently interviewed him, but we both worked at the same place and we both worked with him constantly, where I was bartending, Coy was serving to Nathan Fillion, and he was genuinely incredibly sweet. Gave a great tip, would talk shop, would love to take pictures with fans, stuff like that.
Right.
That is what Superman should feel like. Superman shouldn't feel like trying to talk to Beyonce, where it's like, bitch, I'm Beyonce. I'm Superman. Why are you looking at me? You know what I mean? And the closest we got to that was at the beginning of Justice League with Mustache Gate, of him deciding to do like a social media thing with somebody. Right. But correct me if I'm wrong, I don't remember a lot of instances where Superman, not Clark, where Superman is just having conversations with people. Like you're missing Coy would know, and people will probably roast me for the name of the dude that like claims to be his biggest fan. He's like a Fisher. I'm not talking about Jimmy Olsen, but I can't remember the name of this dude who's like a big deal in the Superman lexicon.
Okay.
I'll look it up and see if I can find it. Okay. But like, that's the kind of stuff I kind of need from Soups. You know what I mean? Because otherwise, again, it's not as interesting to watch a god just do whatever. That's part of what makes Thor so interesting is to see, yes, he's a god, but like his issues with his brother and his dad. And then like the idea of being worthy, which is revisited over and over again and got in my opinion, one of the strongest viewpoints. You can argue that he was too silly in Endgame, but there was something about Fat Thor where it was just like, because he lost, and he lost terrifically, and he had lost all of his family, he had lost his homeland, and now he had failed the universe, and half the universe was wiped out. Full depression, had fully lost it, and then was like, I don't even know if I can wield Mjolnir anymore. Like I don't think that I'm the guy anymore. There's something so incredible about that. So the minute you make Superman like a god that we can't relate to, I don't find that interesting anymore. So as cool as this sounds, I hadn't gotten there with this Superman, so I'm okay that we missed it.
Yeah, that's fair. To answer your, I think to address your concerns, I think this is a really interesting point. He said the problem with Superman is that when they constantly are trying to create bigger and bigger obstacles for a character with infinite power, that's when it doesn't work. Donner understood that, and all the best sequences understood that Superman's greatest obstacle is himself. So I think there is an element of that would have been in this, Winston, that you're talking about, along with, having to follow what they wanted to do overall with Man of Steel 2, with the approach that Zack Snyder would have been involved with, because he still would have been the EP if he wasn't going to direct it. And I imagine they would have had him do some darker sequences. So how does that work with McQuarrie's sensibility? Because, he doesn't. It's not necessarily a darker sense of it. There is darkness in some of McQuarrie's writing for sure, but he's not have as dark of a sensibility as maybe Zack Snyder. So it would have been an interesting combo to have those two guys be involved in this, which would be, I would have been fascinating to see. But of course, as you said, it's never going to happen. So, but maybe once Mission Impossible is done, because I mean, listen, if you watch that last movie, Ethan is essentially a superhero throughout that whole movie, considering what he endures. So maybe this is a bit of a dry run down the road for McQuarrie to be looked at, maybe even by James Gunn, who is clearly got no problem hiring directors who have a pretty big name to be part of the DC universe. So we'll see.
And someone in the chat brought it up. It's Bibbo. Bibbowoski.
Okay.
I guess his name, something like that. But like, yeah, he's like his sailor friend, and he's like, yeah, I'm close personal friends with Superman. That's my guy. Like, we're good. Like, he, I taught him everything he knows, like just a very like rough and tumble kind of like port guy. But that's it. He is a tough guy, like the description here, a tough guy with a heart of gold. And that's the whole point. He was a former championship boxer, like all that kind of stuff. There's like even him trying to be like, yeah, ain't nobody closer to Superman than me, my guy. And Superman's like, Bibbo's my dude. I do love you, Bibbo. And like, you know what I mean? Like that is the thing that I think was for me, again, missing from the DCEU Superman. I don't, correct me if I'm wrong, if there's a moment that I'm not thinking of, but like when you kill Jimmy Olsen in 2 seconds and it's only a like kind of sexual tension for the most part between him and Lois and less of the super loving kind of nature of things. And I just never got the chance to see a more human Clark, a more human, not just Clark, a human Superman. I didn't get to see that, because that's why sometimes when he gets hit by something, it's like, because he thinks of himself as human. So like he's it kind of hurts, but like it doesn't actually hurt him because he's Superman. But that's why it hurts. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly. Yeah, so it would be fun to consider it and fun to think about. Maybe down the road there will be something, maybe a Christopher McQuarrie Sentry film if you want to go Marvel. That could be interesting because Sentry has a lot of elements of Superman with the mental health issues. That could be something McQuarrie could explore for sure. But another thing that McQuarrie said in that interview, and I don't know how you feel about this. I don't know what your feelings are about Top Gun Maverick here, Winston, but he said that they already have broke the story for Top Gun 3 in them. It's already in the bag, he said, and he already knows what the story is. He says it wasn't hard. I thought it would be, and that's a good place to go from as you walk in the room going, come on, what are we going to do? And co-writer Aaron Kruger pitched something, and I went, actually, and we had one conversation about it, and the framework is there, so it's not hard to crack. The truth of the matter is none of these are hard to crack. It's as you start to execute it and as you start to interrogate it, as you start to think why these movies are made the way they are, it's not the action, it's not even the level of our intensity or of the scope and scale of the action or the engineering around the actions, none of those things. It's the emotion. So there you go. So and they asked him if he would. Josh Horowitz asked him if he would consider directing it, and he said, "I haven't given that absolutely no thought whatsoever. However, I have done a lot of research into how to make a Tony Scott movie." So that's really funny. That's the first director. So Top Gun 3, he says he's cracked it. Are you excited about this? Would you want to see this? Did you enjoy Top Gun Maverick?
I love Top Gun Maverick. I had never seen Top Gun beforehand. I saw it. I want to say I saw it like right before Maverick came out. Because I had mentioned it to Christian, and he was like, "What the?" Like, because it's one of his favorite movies, so he loaned it to me, and I saw it before, and I was like, "Oh, this is actually really good."
Right,
it's very 80s, but it's very good.
Very.
And then this was stellar. There's a reason it was one of the first. I think it was the first movie to hit $1 billion since the pandemic. And for good reason. Where people essentially were saying, "Hey, you saved Hollywood in a lot of ways. You saved movie theaters," and I agree with that sentiment. I want to be closer to having faith than not having faith. I just really hope that we're not, because it hit so hard, we aren't leaning in, and then it's not gonna be good. I believe him. I believe that if they've got it, that they'll handle it, and like, let's go on a positive what's the term I'm trying to remember? Positive
mindset,
intent, like the kind of a positive, and like the positive intent here, the positive mindset on what's happening. But we'll see. We'll honestly see.
I'm looking forward to it, and I like the fact that he cracked it. I do think other writers would be like, it is difficult to crack something. What are you talking about? But maybe McQuarrie's kind of in that vibe now, as he's been doing this for a number of years. Because remember, I think he wrote The Usual Suspects. That's how long he's been around in Hollywood, a number of decades. So, him saying, well, it wasn't that hard to crack. These things aren't usually that hard to crack. I'm sure it isn't hard when you've got this much experience. So I get that, but I love the idea that he understands what makes these films work, and that's why I go back and watch both of them all the time, because there's something about the emotion. Yeah, the jets, all that is fun. The fighter jets, all that is cool, but it's the emotion of what the character is going through, especially Top Gun Maverick. My God, that was a damn good acting performance from Tom Cruise. I thought he should have been nominated for that.
He was fantastic, but I would actually put that more on Miles Teller, to be honest with you.
You thought Miles was good as well? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think at the end, his quote about it's about the emotion, that is literally for every single movie, period. If we're not able to relate to these characters, whether from a standpoint of we agree with their decisions and we aspire to be them, or the opposite, that we're like, a villain is, you look at it and you either, God, I hate you so much.
Right.
But it's like believable for that. That is what has to be at the core of that. Because like people think about with Thanos and Killmonger, both instances where you're like, dude, I do not agree with how you're handling this at all. But I get it. Like you see the logic there and you're like, damn, you know what I mean? Or if they are that evil, that they aren't even so crazy cartoonish that you could still go, damn, I hate Abby.
Right.
I hate her from The Last of Us.
Right. From Last of Us.
But I get it. Like the fact that every time I see her, I'm like, oh, you stupid bitch. Like, but I'm like, yeah, that's what a good story should do.
Right. Right. I couldn't think of a better segue. that
one on purpose. I got you, bro. I was like, yo, let me go ahead and Dwayne Wade past this, and then go ahead and LeBron dunk that man.
Going to the crossroads. Bang! At the risk of getting Winston upset again. There's Abby and Ellie. I'm bringing this up because I want to talk about this. What you think about this stuff here, Winston? Because this is happening now. This idea, The Last of Us shared a press release last weekend touting a massive 37 million global viewers for The Last of Us Season 2. However, on Sunday night, the finale drew 3.7 million cross-platform viewers in the U.S., and The Wrap noted that The Last of Us Season 2 finale suffered a 55% drop from the 8.2 million cross-platform viewers who tuned in to the finale for Season 1. They do think that the audience will grow significantly because it was over the Memorial Day holiday weekend, but they don't have any numbers just yet to defend that or to support that. But the Season 2 also premiered to 5.3 million cross-platform viewers. So it's a drop from even the season premiere to what happened. But, I always push back on them. They go, well, it's Memorial Day. Listen, let me tell you something right now. People will make an effort to watch something if they want to watch it. I don't give a fuck if it's their wedding day or Memorial Day. They will make an effort to watch it if it's a big deal.
Wedding day, Rocha. Come on. Maybe the guests, because they're like, I'm not getting married. But like, do you think any like I'm again, we're gonna go stereotype here, but do you think any bride is like, yeah, no, Rocha, go ahead. Go watch The Last of Us season finale right now. After you just said I do to you and we just did this party. You're gonna do one of two things. You either gonna get in this room and you gonna come be with me, or we gonna sit here and look at these photos. But what you're not about to do is go watch this goddamn show. You can watch that shit tomorrow. You just kiss my ass.
I'll be right back. I promise I'll be right back in an hour. Then I gotta do the review. I promise I'll be back after that. But it's a fascinating situation to see this happening because Winston, I've been kind of defending this season. I've enjoyed the season, but it's pretty clear that quite a few people haven't enjoyed the season, and the numbers are showing it because that's where you find out, Winston, how many people are interested in liking what you're doing. And I wonder if this affects going into Season 3, because it seems like they're going to switch who the hell is going to be the protagonist of Season 3, and maybe the person you don't like right now. And so will that change the rating situation? Is this an anti-Bella Ramsey type of situation that you're seeing? Speaking of young actresses who are actors who get vilified early on for what they can do, you're seeing that play out with some of the hate towards Bella as well.
I hate that it had to get to a point where there was trending for a while of, I don't remember what the hashtag was, but it was essentially showing love to Bella Ramsey, because coming at it for every different type of reason, about them being, like non-binary and things like that, like all sorts of stuff just being thrown at Bella. And so the fact that it took now a counter campaign of love to try and counter that, I hate everything about that. I can understand a little bit. I didn't play the game, so if we went too far off the story here, because just talking to Christian, I feel like he was telling me that their relationship, Bella's and Isabel's, that wasn't as centered, focused. And if that's the case, I can understand being like, why are we doing this? But it feels like the reason for that was to try and kind of genuinely show the contrast between her anger and her desire for revenge, and trying to keep her from going into that darkness. I thought that was really interesting, and I especially appreciated the fact, and this is more why I kind of like this character, because you got to remember, she's constantly been shit on her entire life, Ellie. The episode that I think Pedro Pascal should be nominated for, that essentially the idea of like, hopefully when you get a little bit older, you'll do better. And the fact that we had that then resaid to her. But her rage has gotten a hold of her too much, and she can't, like, that is part of that reason, is that Joel didn't necessarily have that love that you see with Dina. And like, he did eventually find it in Ellie, as far as like, this is now my new tribe, but he didn't have a lover, he didn't have all that. He just kind of was like doing his thing, mercenary, whatever, and he healed himself into being a better person. Whereas the opposite is that is beautiful. That is why that was written that way, so that you could see the difference. But this idea of Team Abby, get the F out of here. I don't blame the character for making the decision to do what they did. But the complete callousness and the cruelty in which she did it, she's no better than Ella, than Ellie. I keep calling her Ella because I keep hearing Bella. Ellie.
Oh, right. Bella Ramsey, right.
Anyway, dude, she tortured that man. Whereas when Joel did his thing, he said, let my daughter go. I ain't gonna pop, because the dude even threatened to kill him. So he said, pop, and then he moved on. And that's what she upset about. He didn't torture her daddy. You tortured the shit out of Joel. I don't like you. Go away.
It wasn't personal, his killing of her father. But you understand her rage and her vengeance, her anger, but that's clearly someone who has had that already. And I think that's what's going to be interesting when they explore season 3, because because Gail said this earlier in season 2, right? Like, Ellie was already walking down this path before Joel came along. Joel just kind of walked in lockstep with her when Tommy was concerned about how this is going to affect her. And she's clearly crossed lines, as we've seen over the last 3 episodes, in her pursuit of vengeance. In this last episode, very clear. Even a tsunami wave couldn't stop her from going after it. And she was almost hung in exchange for it. And so you see all this anger coursing through her. She's killed an innocent life now. And so there's a lot that she's going to have to reckon with. And then Abby on the other side, clearly she's a woman driven by rage and anger and hatred and vengeance. So are they going to find some way to maybe crack that trauma bonding between them and heal from their battle in season 3? I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see.
I also stand by, like, I get it. There is a level that she needs to look at herself like, wow, I did end up, I don't know if we need to say spoiler alert at this point, but you mentioned about hurting an innocent. I mean, the idea of the innocent that she hurt actively put themselves in a position to get an innocent life hurt. And she didn't do this just willy-nilly and torture. Like, again, someone wanted to say last week of like, did they think it was a hate crime what Ellie did to the black young lady that was withholding? That was an enemy who she was interrogating. I mean, it was was forced interrogation. You could, but it wasn't torture for like torture's sake, to get your emotions out or whatever. It was, give me the name. No, crack. Give me the name. No. And so did she maybe get a little too into it? Sure. But up until this woman gave the information, and then she just killed her. Right. So like then this other person, again, your compatriot tried to kill her, right? And you got in the way. Yeah. So there's a point at which I don't see it the same way, because this isn't you know, I'm robbing it like the Joker. I'm robbing a bank, and then once I got the thing, I'm still gonna kill you or whatever. Like there's a world maybe, and if that had happened after she promised she would have let them go, then I'm like, dude, you effed up. But this was someone tried to shoot her, and she said pop, and someone got in the way.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Well, anyway, the ratings are down, and that's going to be interesting to see, because now we got a 2-year wait for season 3. This is not good to have the ratings down in the finale, and you've got to wait this long. They're going to have to work hard to really get people back on board with this show. So I'll be curious to see. Well, speaking of things to get back to convince people of, Winston, let's move on to this, the NBA playoffs. Let's talk about this. You wanted to talk about this subject, this game last night between the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Thunder ended up winning the game, taking a 3-1 series lead in the Western Conference Finals, 128-126. It was a really close game. And the reason one of the reasons it got close there at the end is because the Thunder employed a foul them before they can take a 3 type of procedure, and it ended up working out for them. So what's the deal here? What are your feelings on this? Explain this a little bit more for maybe some people who are basketball neophytes.
Yeah, so the easiest way to do this is that the Thunder have been doing this for a while, and this is very different than the tush push, because that can be stopped.
Yes.
Whereas this necessarily can't. If you think about it this way, part of what makes basketball exciting is this idea of like, I mean, with any sport, but specifically basketball, is this idea of like, if you do the right things, if you have the miracle play, the it player, whatever, you can make it happen and try and stage some sort of comeback.
Yeah.
This kills the spirit of competition, because the idea is, let's say, Rocha, it's me versus you. I'm up 3. You have the ball. So like a 3-pointer would tie the game.
Yeah.
I go and foul you, because I foul you not in the middle of a shot, but you're in the bonus. Right. You just go to shoot 2 shots, meaning you do not have the opportunity after those 2 shots to potentially make a comeback. And then I get the ball, and you either are going to foul me right back because you don't want to waste time.
Right.
Or I go off and do something else. It is kind of disgusting. Now, again, it's within the rules.
Sure.
So it's legal, but I understand, and I see a lot of people that were on here being like, they should eliminate it. This one person, Nate Duncan, NBA. I don't know if this is actually a player or not, but whatever. But they say the NBA has to change the rule. The NBA has to change the rule to eliminate the smart play of fouling up 3. Yeah. Should be 1 shot and the ball if you foul outside the 3-point line, up 3 with the shot clock off. Yeah. Turned an amazing game into a free throw contest late, robbed us of a great finish. Yeah. I fully agree with that. It may be legal, but it spits in the face of the game.
Yeah.
Because then they're not playing. You're winning by a technicality. Yeah. I really, really hate that. A lot of people, the foul up 3 shit is anti-basketball. I hate fouling while you're up 3 as a fan. It's boring to watch, and I also don't like giving teams points. Someone else said, I've said this before, fouling up 3 is a smart strategy. I also hate it and want to remove from the game. Like when you're talking about the NBA, which has been looked at a lot of numbers, where part of the reason why they're pushing so hard internationally, the ratings have been going down.
Yes.
People have not been tuning in.
Right.
Part of that has to do with, you look at the current crop of stars, and they may be incredibly talented, but they don't hit the way that previous stars have.
Not as dynamic personality was. Yeah,
they're just not, it's just not the same for sure.
Yeah.
You know what's going to make it worse is letting this to continue to happen in the same way that I remember looking at baseball, and they were like, while the steroid era was happening, I understand the idea of like, we have to protect the integrity of the game, but also people were walking away from baseball. Why would you get rid of the one thing they want to see is home runs? Like, figure out a way. Maybe you don't let them have steroids, but I don't know. Figure out a way to make this work.
Yeah.
So You need to keep the action of the NBA in it. People are in it for the buzzer beaters. They're in
Yeah.
it to see the best team, dominate, or they're here to see the underdog come in and like pull it off at the last second. They're not here to watch a free throw contest. If that was the case, they would go to the park and watch people play horse.
Yeah, I mean, this is where it's a great point. This is where Adam Silver has to step in, and the competition. And look, they're usually really good about this in the NBA. NFL, not so much, as the tush push got approved for another season. But like here, when you look at this situation, this clearly OKC has gamed the system. It's different when you do it in the regular season because it's the regular season and you're playing a local game and all of that. When you do it on a national stage of the NBA playoffs, everybody's going to be watching. All the writers are going to be writing about it, and all the regular fans or the casuals are going to be watching these games because there's only one every couple of days, so they can watch it. And when you see things like this, it threatens to damage your brand. Because yes, if you're a person who follows the rules or sticking with it, you go, look, this is technically legal. I'm okay to do it. They figured it out. Bill Belichick made a whole career of figuring out the loopholes in the rules in the NFL. So you respect it on one side because it's an intelligent person to come up with that stuff. But on the other side, what you're saying is so completely correct. It makes the game, it turns the game into a slog, and it makes people want to tune out and not watch. And that's the last thing you want for your product that is already on the ropes over the last year or two with the ratings and whatever, is to give them even more excuses not to watch a game. And so although it's technically legal, I hope the NBA steps in and either encourages them to stop doing it with a little carefully worded language, or votes against it being able to be used next season. I hated Hack-a-Shack on so many levels, and
but they put in a foul to address the situation.
Exactly.
What they did, because what Hack-a-Shack was, it wasn't Shaq has the ball, go foul him. Right. It was literally because it was whoever you were falling off ball just got to go to the free throw line, and you knew Shaq was going to miss. So they made a way to curb that.
Yeah.
And that rule is exactly that. If you keep fouling off ball within the final 2 minutes, then it's one shot and possession.
Right.
So I think it should be the same thing. If that's genuinely the case, go one ball in possession, and that'll stop that shit. It to me, again, spits in the face of the game. I don't care how smart it is, because you did it within the rules. It just sucks. And that's the thing. The only difference that I see between that and the tush push, because I feel kind of similar with the tush push. I'm like, you robbing running backs are doing stuff. It's so automatic for y'all. Yeah. But the reason why I let up on that, not every team can do it. You know what I'm saying? Not every team can pull it off. There's something specific about what the Eagles are doing. It's the fact that Jalen Hurts has like horse legs as far like, have you seen his thighs? No diddy, but like my boy has got massive thighs, and it makes sense that the tush push works for him because he squats something crazy. So like, it doesn't work universally, but this is definitely one of those things that, like the Hack-a-Shack, it wasn't just Shaq. Shaq was the main focus because of how bad his free throw stuff was, but it was something there. So just the idea of figure out how to do that without essentially taking advantage of the rules. That's what that feels like. Yeah.
A lot of these centers back then were terrible at free throwing. So it was about, free throws rather. It was about hacking them so that you could get the advantage. But yeah, this has got to be looked at. I agree with you. I was watching the game last night with the lady Outlaw, and she rarely lets me watch NBA playoffs in the main room when we're both hanging out. So I was like, hey, there's 30 seconds left, babe. Would you mind? She's like, it's going to take 30 minutes to finish your 30 seconds. I was like, no, they're going to battle, and then it'll be over in like 10 minutes. 20 minutes later, she was like, what did I tell you? I'm like, the last thing I want to do is lose an argument with my girlfriend. So please cut this shit out, NBA. Because I do not want this anymore. All right, Winston, we've got a few super chat questions. I'm going to get to them in just a second, but we also wanted to talk about a couple other things. This one I'm kind of springing on you, and I don't know if you got a chance to see this today, but this was kind of crazy. Let me bring up this situation here. I think this is it. Yeah. I'm sure you know who Shaboozey is, the Black Country.
Oh, I did, and I have seen this.
Have you seen this? So let's play this quickly. And this is, by the way, this is Megan Moroney.
Oh, you might want to pull the background real quick. Or
What's
the
that?
Overlay. Pull the overlay.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I forget sometimes that I have to do that. Where is this it? No, this is not it. Where is it? Oh, well, I'll just put it like this. Oh, no, that's not it.
You don't want the overlay. The overlay's got to go away.
Yeah, there we go. Okay. I thought I had one with just us at the bottom and the top, but if I don't, I've got to reach out to our guy and make sure he could get me one.
Oh,
like
close
that.
our DMs though. I didn't say anything wild, but like, don't leave that open.
Where's the DM? You see the DM? Oh, sorry, Winston. Yeah. Where's no DM?
I didn't say anything wild, but definitely close that.
All right. So anyway, yes, it's a fair point. So Shaboozey was here presenting with Megan Moroney, who, by the way, Megan Moroney, a up and coming country music star. Certainly, I've enjoyed some of her songs. Was it Tennessee Orange or something like that? I like that song. Am I okay? So I like her music. So I was really sad to see this situation here.
And this award went to the.
So they're presenting an award to the Carter family, who is, of course, June Carter is a member of the Carter family. Passed away. She was Johnny Cash's wife, but Mama Carter, like I know the Carter family, and I know country music growing up in Virginia, very well versed in it. But they're presenting an award here, and Megan Moroney says something, and watch Shaboozey's side eye.
And this award went to the Carter family, who basically invented country music.
The eye roll is everything, Winston. So what the hell? I mean, if you clearly she hasn't watched Ken Burns' documentary on country music, and clearly not. And I wonder if this is a purposeful shot at pushing back some of the black influence some of the black people that have come into country music and become successful. Shaboozey, Beyonce getting a lot of crap, even though she's from Houston, Texas, for her country music album. And I've seen more and more black people being a part of country music and being artists in country music. And this is the kind of thing that somebody writes on a teleprompter and then she says, and it gets approved by the producers. But if you study country music, you know that black people have influenced country music. So what were your thoughts on all of this?
I mean, I don't think she wrote that.
No, I don't think she wrote it. But I think the writers wrote it, but she said it.
Yeah. No. I'm going to tell you right now.
Yeah.
People need to be real careful about saying shit like this. You want Beyonce to make another country album? Because she'll do it. You think she won't do that shit again? You already made it clear you want her gone. Do not give her a reason to do it again, because she will. That was why Shaboozey was like, the fuck did you say? So I saw that, and that was my immediate like, I don't know if I tweeted it, but I certainly text some people. I said, yeah, they better be careful before they make Beyonce make another album, because that's where you're gonna end up. You're gonna end up like that was the entire point, is that there is a certain level in this country, not a certain level. There is a lot in this country of whitewashing things and pretending like the history that was there is not there. And now you're seeing it on a grander scale.
Yeah. With Trump
trying to be like, we're not going to teach about slavery no more.
Right.
You should. It is at the core of this country, as was stealing land from Native Americans, as was so many other things. Right. So like, what we should be doing, as the old adage goes, learn from your history or you're doomed to repeat it. Right. We should be teaching it. And it's not to say that you turn around and go, all white people are the devil. You go, white people did some fuck shit. Yeah. If they're not doing it anymore, then we can move on in harmony. But if they start to go back and do the same thing, there's a reason why we called it out. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's the same thing with people want to be like, I always want to treat men like the devil. Like when women talk about like the patriarchy and stuff, it's like, no, it's just when you look through history of like the horrible things men have done to women. Right. I understand why they bring that up. If you don't do it anymore, we don't have to keep talking about it. But if you keep reiterating the same bullshit that makes women scared or angry or anything else, then they're gonna keep talking about it. So like that's it. That's all we want. Is to just be better, do better.
Yeah, listen, you've got,
Kristen from the other room goes, preach.
It's so true. Well, you look at the situation with Shaboozey. I mean, he posted something right after this became a viral clip out here in a post, and told followers to look up figures like Leslie Riddle, Steve Tarter, Harry Gay, and DeFord Bailey and their influence on country and the Carter family. Yes, the Carter family is regarded as the, quote, first family of country music, according to the Country Music Hall of Fame. And Riddle in particular is cited as an influence on the group for helping AP Carter with songs and for teaching Maybelle Carter his guitar style, and that's a black person. Still, as Shaboozey seems to reference, while the Carter family often spotlighted, black country progenitors haven't been given their due. But he did tweet out on Tuesday, when you uncover the true history of country music, You find a story so powerful that it cannot be erased. And he followed up with a second post about an hour later saying the real history of country music is about people coming together despite their differences and embracing and celebrating the things that make us alike. So, he is trying to educate, and he is trying to also make sure people understand he's not trying to create a race war here. He is trying to educate you all about the origins of country music. And yes, some of the things that white country music people have hated recently is that ever since that Ken Burns documentary and other books have come out, is the realization and the discovery and the reveal that black artists from way back when influenced country music, influenced rock and roll, influenced a lot. But there is a predominant race in this country, that white race, that wants to erase what black people have done to influence so many things in our world because it makes them feel inadequate and they can't fucking handle it. Yeah, they're going to call you a snowflake, but they can't handle the fact that they're telling the truth about how much black people have influenced so much art in this country, including country music.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's one of those things, man, where it's just like, what is wild to me is when you think about all of the contributions that different types of people, gender, ethnicity, sexual orientation, all that have provided to society. Yeah. But this idea of just trying to pretend like that's not the case, and it was just the white man in particular white men, straight white men.
Yeah, straight white men.
They did everything.
Yeah.
That's what's crazy. They certainly are in power. I get that. And so there's a certain level of, we got to where we are because unfortunately they have been, like, fortunately and unfortunately they've been at the forefront. But to pretend like other people did not have massive contributions to all sorts of stuff, that's where people get upset. That's why people start trying to do Latino Pride Month and Pride Month and Black History Month and Women's History Month, because you want to pretend like that didn't happen. The reason we still need a Black History Month is just you want to erase Black history. You want to pretend like we didn't do some shit where we clearly did. I could go down the list, and I love whenever I see it. Air conditioning, everything that was done with peanuts, elevators, like ad infinitum number of things that it was like, that was a nigga inventor. What are you gonna do? I apologize. There's my one. You know where it is. It's a minute, an hour, 7 minutes, and they're like 1 second. So just go and clip that out. It's fine. You can go and clip that out. It was fast. I'm sure nobody heard it. My point is, one isn't a problem. I promise you, one's not a problem. Multiples might be a problem. But I say all that to say, literally, if we just acknowledge that stuff, do you know how quickly people would be quiet? Like, people would stop trying to fight for that if you would just give them their due. That's it. Like, Jesus Christ.
I don't know why that's such an issue. I don't know why that's such a crying, whiny baby issue. Like, give credit where credit is due. Be honest with where it's at. Because, like, it's insane to me that some, and I'm not saying all, not all, but some members of the white race want to punch down to erase any kind of contribution from people of color or Black people to things that happen in this country. And that's nonsense. It's childish. It is absolutely infantile to have that kind of stuff. But, Winston, we have an administration that kind of promotes that kind of stuff, and you have to wonder why it is this way, why they want to do this kind of stuff. And I'm going to bring up another thing real quick, and then we'll get to the super chats. But I mean, I don't know if people saw this week, but even the spokesperson for the president.
Oh yeah, I thought you were going to talk about Carrie Underwood, but
that Carrie Underwood. Let's
overlay again.
Yeah. So, shit. All right.
All good. I know.
Sorry, guys. I'm still getting used to that. All right. So this is Carolyn Levitt, who is a spokesperson of the White House. She is standing too close to apparently a Black policeman who reads her face and moves away from her so she's not seen. And then she gives him the sign. Look, she points at the guy like what? Is he going to take my purse? Is he going to steal my money? And he's like moving out of the way so she doesn't. What are we talking about here? You are supposed to be representing and speaking for the United States, and here you are pointing at a Black police officer because he's standing too close to you and trying to move him away from you. What the crap, man?
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you this, man. I think the main reason why you see this vitriol and this backlash is it's not to say that there aren't again, things that white people have done that are huge. Sure,
Yeah,
absolutely. Every race has proven at some point or another to have done something fantastic. The problem is when so much of the stuff that white people have done tend to be pretty negative.
Yes.
Like everybody did a slavery at one point or another. Let's be real. But but the way in which they did it transatlantic, bro, it's on some other shit. So when you consider something like that, and how you were even looking at like apartheid in South Africa was being modeled after what we did here with Jim Crow in America.
Yeah.
Like those are the things that they're the versus this idea of like, yeah, we were dealing with X, Y, and Z, weren't getting fed probably. We came up with soul food. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like one looks like a thing of perseverance, while the other looked like I stole a bunch of shit and did horrible things to people, so I don't want to be looked at. Like Jack Daniels, for example. Jack Daniels actually was taught to the man that made that brewery by a black man. And that's where Uncle Nearest comes from. Uncle Nearest is a black-owned whiskey brand that's supposed to give honor to the actual dude that came up with the Jack Daniels distilling of efforts. Those are the things that people don't want to talk about, is that it's a constant level of, I'm just going to take this from me. I did it, y'all. I made the thing. Like, that's, it happens. I'm trying to remember, in that part of what, if I remember correctly, the Prestige was about with Tesla, like inventing like electricity more so, but Edison getting the bigger, because it was more the mainstream.
Yeah, exactly. Because it was more the mainstream guy who could work the system and work the room. Tesla was much more of an introvert, so didn't have that extra thing to push him across the finish line. 100%.
And so it's the reason why is when you have too many examples of the things that we look at to go, this is one of the greatest inventions or one of the greatest things that's ever happened in human history, but it's on the back of a lie or theft. That is why you try and hardcore whitewash stuff, because you're like, they can't know. They can't know that this is only because I took something from someone else. So it's that idea of like, you're caught in a lie, so you double and triple down.
Yeah, exactly. And we're seeing it all over the place. But to finish off this section of the show, as Winston mentioned, and this time I'm going to take this down.
There you go. I was about to say, don't forget the overlay.
let's look at Carrie Underwood.
Why did the judges all avoid standing next?
Let me bring that up and turn it down a little bit. It's a little loud. But yeah, now people are starting to see Carrie Underwood may have told on herself in the finale of the.
Why did the judges all avoid standing next to Carrie Underwood after Jamal Roberts won American Idol? One of her actions sparked public outrage. After Jamal won, nearly every judge stepped forward to congratulate him with hugs and handshakes except Carrie. Carrie ignored Jamal entirely, walking off to the side to chat with others. That coldness showed when Jamal was announced the winner. Carrie didn't even stand to applaud at first, only doing so after the others did. During the group photo, Carrie stood at the edge, making a clear effort to avoid being near Jamal. Viewers noticed her forced smile. She didn't look genuinely happy at all. Truth is, Carrie had been rooting for John Foster, a fellow country artist she praised repeatedly on the show. When it came to Jamal, Carrie was much tougher. She claimed he lacked stage presence. But based on the crowd's response, Jamal's performances were great, nowhere near as bad as Carrie made them sound. And this wasn't Carrie's first controversy. She had previously snubbed Kamala Harris in public. Fans were upset with Carrie's bias, and the other judges picked up on the backlash, fearing her behavior could make the show feel unfair. That's why they deliberately kept their distance from. Why did the
crazy? That is crazy. And she performed at the Trump inaugural, and I think they don't want to hear this, but I think God got involved because made all of the technical stuff fall apart, so she had to sing it a cappella. And so you see these things happening, and you're like, people are becoming more and more brazen about this shit to play to their base. And who's their base? Country music. Country music, I know the stereotype was always that element of racism there, but they used to be a much more, from what I remember in the 90s and early 2000s, like a much more open situation. But, they've somehow embraced Trump and MAGA and all this. So now it's like, we can't have black people. We got to push them away. We'll nominate them for awards. We ain't going to give them any. Like, it's this kind of thing, and you're seeing it all over the place. And Carrie's the one that's like, I don't like to be involved in politics. But bullshit. You like to play both sides. And so this is madness, all this stuff happening right now. It's so frustrating.
Like the thing about this in particular, because this isn't the first time that any judge of any competition hasn't liked another contestant.
Of course.
To my knowledge, I believe it was both Simon and Paula preferred Clay Aiken over Ruben Studdard.
Yes.
But America voted and picked Ruben, but you didn't see them throwing stank faces and stuff. They were just Like they were just like, if I had to pick one, this is who I'm picking. But whatever. But they were supportive and they were like, yeah, go get it, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Whereas, like, yeah, there was a lot of evidence that people were like, bro, why do you look like someone just robbed you?
Yeah.
You genuinely look pissed off.
Yeah.
So is it possible that people are reading into it a little bit more? Yeah, but that example of what happened with Kamala Harris was a great one. She still shook Biden's hand.
Yep.
Even though she apparently, because she is a big Trumper, she shook his hand.
Right.
You can't at the bare minimum shake Kamala's hand or acknowledge she exists. Yeah. There's a level of just like, what are you doing that's going on? That's just.
Yeah. I took Carrie's country off my damn Sirius XM. I love country music, and it's hard. I just was like, no, got to get her off, because I never saw her in this way, but she's showing herself, the anti-vax stuff. I think there's some LGBTQ stuff she was railing against as well. And then you get this, but she still wants to play like, oh, I don't talk politics. And I've heard from quite a few people who've worked with her. She's a raging mad woman to work for. So it's not a surprise that that's connected. Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, man, look, I understand. I believe that the highest selling American Idol ever is Carrie, but there's a reason why Kelly Clarkson ended up being the very first. Not that Carrie was a part of that in contention for the first show. Right. There's a reason why she's forever in everybody's mind. For most people,
yes,
the American Idol. She is so sweet, so hardworking, loves everybody, has like been praised by everybody from all different genres and races. True. Like she the real one, for real. And like you've even had like plenty of black talent be like, girl got pipes, bro. She blew X, Y, and Z person out the thing. And she's like, no, don't say that. And they're like, no, you won. Like,
yeah, exactly. I like this. Chris Cork says, Carrie Underwood seems like Mr. Frog in that scene from Smiling Friends when he was interviewed by Jimmy Fallon. Oh, yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
I'm not familiar with that.
Mike Joy says she wants to become a MAGA grifter. Yeah, exactly. She probably does. They all do. They're all turning. I just saw a friend's wife do it. And I'm like, why? She failed as a fitness influencer. She failed in this other. So now she's making this turn towards the right, hugging America all of a sudden. I'm like,
that's the thing. There's good money in it, but I say the same thing that I say about anybody that's willing to sell their soul. Like when it's all said and done, at some point the money will dry up.
Yeah.
Can you sit with the things that you've lost? And are you aware of, I hope you are good at investing said money, because once you have decided to burn that bridge with everybody else, there's virtually no guarantee you're ever getting back in the good graces to be cool with everybody.
Right.
Like that, you're drawing a very specific line.
Exactly.
You do that.
And Carrie, don't be surprised if Jesus doesn't take the wheel. Don't be surprised if Jesus refuses to take the wheel because of the way you're treating people, man. So it's not good. It's not good. Anyway. All right. So
look, all I know is Jesus may take a Louisville Slugger to her car when she get up to heaven, talking about you can go ahead and drive on down the road. You ain't coming up here.
He might key her car. Like,
hey, go ahead and put Caroline Levitt in there with you. Her busted ass try to come up here. She can ride with you down the hill.
That's too much of a man. Before he speaks, before he cheats, before she speaks. All right, Reggie Brown says over under Clark and Reese doing a Super Bowl commercial together in 2 years.
Yeah, I would 2 years. I would call it 4. I'm gonna say you're gonna need to really get removed from this. Let Juju get in the league. Like let the dust really settle as to who they're gonna be as players. And if they're both still playing at a high level and keeping that level of popularity, I could see it in like 4 or 5.
I don't see Reese in the WNBA in 2 years at all. I don't see it.
I mean, we'll see. I mean,
she's got her other brand stuff. I think is going to feed her more, Winston, than being the subject of ridicule because of her rebounding from people who aren't going to accomplish anything like she's already accomplished. So
let me go ahead and pull up the
get out.
Yeah. Let me go ahead and pull up the states.
I just think I would get out if I was her, because
it purely depends on what she wants at the end of the day, and I totally understand that.
She could be influencer and a half, for God's sake. She's got so many products to endorse.
Oh yeah.
Corn Emperor says, I finally get to attend to spill the tequila again. Well, thank you, Corn.
Welcome.
Yeah, welcome. He says, my fun years were 22 to 26-ish. Why wait, right? Just kidding. Sure. Vincent Zawada says, Andor is amazing. Episode 8, I cried. It made me love Star Wars again. I agree, Vincent. What a great season of Andor. I don't know if you saw it as well, Winston, but like,
I still haven't seen the show. I got like 3 episodes into the first season, and then I fell off because stuff was going on, and I haven't had a chance to circle back quite yet. So yeah.
Were you like, where's the black people? Show me where the black people was in Star Wars. Not that many. That's for sure. Dennis Hoffman, 15. Rocha, I was a late bloomer. Yeah, it was what it was. The dogs looks like mama's home. Whoa.
Oh, that's cute.
That's cute. Brooklyn says, I'm taking a shot with you fellas. Maybe more than one, maybe 3 or 4. Oh, I better see what that is. I'm sorry, Winston. Can I put you?
Go. You're fine. Yeah, I can hold the fort.
Okay.
And I can read some of these because I see them linked here. So go check. Okay. Brooklyn says, I'm taking a shot with you fellas. Maybe more than 1, maybe 3 or 4. Thoughts on what Rob Gronkowski has said about Aaron Hernandez this week? That's a good question. I'm not familiar. Let's see if I can find it super quickly. Gronk and Hernandez. Let's see. Is there news?
Reflects on sorry about that.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm back. Sorry about that. So yeah, what was the last one we were looking at?
Oh my God. So people are talking about what Gronk said about Aaron Hernandez.
Didn't see it.
I didn't see this either, but let's see. So on Bussin' with the Boys podcast, Gronkowski discussed Hernandez, who played 3 seasons of the NFL. Rumors suggested that he used to pleasure himself during team meetings. That's a possibility. That one, he said while laughing, I may or may not have seen it live. I'm not going to confirm or deny it. What the hell? The outgoing personality continued. I mean, I love crazy shit though, so I didn't mind things like that. I was like, wow, that was pretty epic. I was a wild man myself, so nothing fazed me. Oh my God.
Oh my God. What? Wow.
Hey man.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is a good moment to like recommend the Hulu series. If you guys haven't watched the Hulu series on Hernandez, a lot of that is like showcased that he was a real there was clearly something wrong with his mind from all the hits and the concussions, because he would walk around the locker room with his Johnson hanging out everywhere and pee in people's showers while they were showering, things of that nature to mess with people. And I think in the documentary, the ESPN one, they go even further into some of the stuff. So I'm not surprised that is something that Gronkowski revealed. And I'm also not surprised that Gronkowski was okay with it, because he's kind of a weird one. I worked with him on a film once, him and his brothers. They are bros to the highest level. Nice guys, very kind guys, super cool, professional as hell. Didn't cause any trouble on set, and were very cool with everybody. But they brought a party bus to the set, and that's where they would go in between takes. And I walked in there one time because I did a scene with one of them, and they asked me to go in, and it was like, oh my God, what am I doing here? And so it was mad.
Jesus Christ.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all.
Hey, it's crazy stuff, man. But like to that point, we were back to the whole Caitlin Angel thing.
Yeah.
So Angel, for obvious reasons, is already leading the league in rebounds again. But I still stand by the point that like I get, well, you just out here shooting all these crappy layups and not going in. Yeah, but there's still a tenacity to go and get that ball. Why is nobody else getting a rebound? Like there's a level at which you have to be like, all right, I hear you, but why literally is nobody stopping her?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When she's averaging 13.7 a game, stop her then. If she's that like she may not be good at shooting, she is damn good at rebounding.
Yeah.
So there's that. Like you're looking at Rodman, bro. That being said, like Caitlin obviously is still Caitlin, but like to that point, she's tied for 8th for points right now. She's actually down at Kelsey Plum is actually leading the league right now at 3.8 per game and stuff like that. So like Caitlin, the thing she's leading is assists, and I will give her all the credit in the world for that at 9.3. But I would just say, I think when it's all said and done, if she continues to go with the clip that she's going, she very well might go down as the greatest to play the game on the women's side of the ball. But let's not pretend like Nafisa Collier isn't destroying that Kelsey Plum now that she's allowed to beyond destroying. That Asia is still Asia. Like that's the part where I'm just like, yeah, Caitlin's good, but are you seeing these ballers, bro? Like, come on.
Yeah, and you know, this season's going to be interesting, and she's out for 2 weeks right now with an injury. So we'll see how the season plays out, because I don't think her numbers are going to hit the numbers they were last year. She was solely, her and Aaliyah Boston were essentially, and Kelsey to a degree, you know, they were depending on them to carry the team. Now they brought in all these veterans, and they traded for people like Sophie Cunningham, like they're shooters. She is not going to have the numbers like she had last year, but she may be on a better team that has a better chance to compete.
That has a lot to do with it.
Yeah,
you're taking a lot of the pressure off of her, which if she's actually serious, which I think every player is, but if you're actually serious about trying to win it all, you need that. You need, because like look at like my 2011 Mavericks, right? Yeah, Dirk was the centerpiece, and Dirk had to go off for 40 every now and again and stuff like that. But the reason it worked is because just as a unit, they were moving. That you could look to Terry to hit you with an outside three, that Jason Kidd could move the ball for you, that you had Tyson Chandler in the center to kind of help take some of the pressure off of Dirk. You need the balance. There's a reason why Luka, in my opinion, hasn't necessarily been able to pull it off with the Mavericks, because we were still building the pieces, or the team was too young to get there. LeBron left Cleveland the first time because he was doing everything by himself, and management didn't put players. So for her to win, she will need the team around her, because the Aces had a stacked team. The Liberty had a stacked team. You need a team. You're not doing that alone.
There's about 4 or 5 teams that are already in contention for the title. Like they're already 4, and don't sleep on Washington. All of a sudden, they've started the season really strongly. So
fantastic draft. Kiki is going off. Fantastic draft from them. And we don't even know what the sparks will be yet. I'm excited. I'm headed to the game as soon as we leave here. So we got to wrap it up in a second. But Cameron Brink isn't back yet. She doesn't get back until sometime next month. We lost Ray Burrell for 6 weeks. Rakia has been out with a concussion. So like there's been a lot of injuries kind of plaguing it. Once the full team is there, what are they going to be? But the Lynx look crazy. Like the Storm look crazy. The Liberty are the reigning champs for a reason.
The Lynx, absolutely. That's a team that I'm quietly, I was like, you know, they haven't said too much, but you're seeing very clearly. Crazy,
bro. She is a monster. Like she is in her season, bro. If Asia is out here looking like Joker, was like, let me just casually keep winning MVPs. This is that year where all of a sudden it's like, we might have to give this to Shea, bro. Like Shea Collier is going off.
Yeah, and I think, and look, the Fever came. I watched that game. The Fever came back from 15 points down against the Liberty. They almost beat the Liberty. If they had gotten a call or two at the end there, because there was controversial stuff with that, they could have gotten the shots to beat the Liberty. So that tells me the Fever are in a good place. Once they really figure out, kind of like last year, once they figure out how to really play with each other, they're going to be gangbusters. But Caitlin's got to turn down those turnovers again. 10 turnovers, man. That's too much.
That and the funny thing is, live by the 3, die by the 3.
Yes.
It was really interesting watching this game this past weekend, because she went like 0 for 10 from the 3, and then finally made 2 or 3 big ones, but it was too late by then, and she kept trying to jack it up. You've got to, that would be one of those things that, like, I've seen that happen with her before. If she isn't already friends with Steph Curry, talk to him about, like, what do you do when you really are having that off shooting night? How do you kind of get around it, you know?
Yeah. No, 100%. And I was watching it, and it was driving me insane, because she was taking some off-balance threes that I was like, no, stop it. Like, I know what you're trying to do.
It was bad.
But when she got him dialed in, it worked out. So, yeah, you're right. All right, one last one. We got to roll after this one. Cowboys Fan 92. Hi, John and Marshall. Happy Tuesday. I'm cool with these new Harry Potter child castings, by the way. If you go to their IMDb pages, they are all new to acting. This is their first project. Well, this is their first project on screen.
Yes.
Arabella Stanton has been quite experienced on the stage, and the young gentleman who's playing Harry Potter has a series coming out. So they are more experienced. The Ron guy is not, as Ron Weasley actor is not as experienced as his first feature film role. So there's more. We'll see how he does in the role. But the other two are more experienced. So I think it's a better situation for them coming into this TV situation.
Yeah. And then real quick, someone was asking like how Paige is doing right now. Considering that she's still a rookie, and rookies tend to need time to do stuff, she's not doing bad. She's not hitting the same clip that Caitlin was last year, but like she's averaging 15, 4, and 5.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? With 1.8 steals. So like she's working on it, but you also got to remember that like you had a number 1 pick in Indiana with Boston to help you out. And I love
Yes.
Enrique and all that kind of stuff. But,
Right.
but there's a reason why Dallas got the number 1 pick right now.
Yeah.
They're not very good. And so it's going to take time for them to come around. But they may walk away with the first dub right now. They're up 82-65 on the Sun right now in the middle of the 3rd. So it's still got some time. But
the Sun. It's such a shame. Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, they're not running the offense through Page yet. That's going to come. That's going to evolve, and that will happen. And once that does, goodness gracious, that team will be something in the future. You know, Dallas versus Indiana or Chicago or the Aces or the Sparks or, you know, or the Liberty, obviously, because they're still stacked like crazy. That's going to be fun to see down the road. And you talked about Juju's coming as well once she heals. And so this is a fun time. Like if you were hesitant about it, this is the time to get into the WNBA. We're
absolutely
about to see a massive explosion of talent over the next couple of years, and these games are going to be thrilling. You want to be there at the beginning, you know?
Absolutely.
I know.
All right.
Let's get out of here. You got a game to go to, speaking of it,
yes,
and I got to get some dinner in me. So thank you all so much for hanging out with us on Spill the Teaquila. Thanks for the super chats. Here, there were no Streamlabs this week, but hopefully next week you guys will.
Sorry, one more from Cowboys fan who says, also needed our Wings win tonight because we have 0 wins this season so far, being at the bottom of our side of the league. Yeah, so they need to get this dub, but the Connecticut is also at the bottom of the league right now, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and look, Caitlin started 1-5 last season, and they made the playoffs. So you just never know how things turn around as players get more into understanding each other and where they're going to be on the court. All right. So as I said, thank you, Cowboys fan. Thank you everybody who watched us today. And if those of you who are watching later, we appreciate it as well. Winston, where can they find you, brother, and all the stuff you got going on?
Yeah, you can find me at the Swaggy Blurred on all platforms. I will be up tomorrow. I'll probably stream on Twitch for a bit. I'll put some stuff on the YouTube channel a bit. So check me out on both of those. And I will be sure to tweet out so you know what's going on. But
right on. And you got a reaction video that's up there now of reacting to Sam and Christian over the Moonlight stuff.
There's a reaction video to Christian and Sam. It's pretty funny.
Watch that stuff, y'all. As for me, at the Rocha says on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, the Outlaw Nation on Twitch. Subscribe down below. Hit the bell button, please. And share this on your social media. Let people know this is a show that will be here weekly on the Outlaw Nation channel. Winston and I talk about all kinds of crazy topics going on in the world, inside and outside entertainment. So let people know about it. And leave your comments down below on all the stuff we got going on, and listen to it on the Outlaw Nation Podcast Network. All right, thank you, guys. Take care of yourselves. Be well. We'll talk to you next time with another brand new episode of Spill the Teaquila.